What's going on, guys? Previously here back a brand new video. Today we are going to be previewing the F1 2015 Monaco Grand Prix, the 6th of 19 rounds of the FIA F1 2015 season. And going into this race then, Lewis Hamilton is leading the championship ahead of his Mercedes teammate Nico Rosberg and Ferrari pair of Sebastian Vettel and Kimi Raikkonen. We'll also be doing a quick review of qualifying, and then we'll be making our predictions for tomorrow's race. So then let's start with the qualifying review then, and it was Lewis Hamilton taking his 5th pole position of the year ahead of his teammate Nico Rosberg having to settle for 2nd best. Massive surprise really after, Rosberg seemed to have, a really good FP3, a really good Q1, a really good Q2, and then a dismal Q3 really. We saw a massive mistake from him in Q2, a big lockup going down into Sandoval, and we saw a repeat of that in Q3. I think even if Rosberg would have finished that lap, Hamilton had it. He really dialed in really well for Q3. Q1 and Q2, he was down on his teammate, still suffering from the tyre pressure issues, and getting the temperature into the tyre was a massive problem for him all of today. But he really got it right when it counted in Q3, and that's put him in amazing stead for tomorrow's race. It's the best place to start, of course, from pole position, not just any other tracks, but this track is by far the most important one to be starting on pole position, and that's exactly what Hamilton's done. He's put himself in a fantastic position. Rosberg's, going to have a lot of work to do. I can only see, Rosberg winning if A, Hamilton has a failure, or B, Rosberg can somehow, get him going down into turn 1. That's got to be his best chance. He's really got to be solid off the line. Hope Hamilton has some kind of issue, like we saw at Monza last season. Rosberg really does need that. I mean, I guess you can jump people in the pits, but just because they're in the same team, it's going to be really hard. I doubt we're going to see too much of a battle. I think the gaps should be very close, and I'd really like to see a battle between them, something like we saw between, Mansell and, was it Senna? Mansell and Senna, of course, in 1992. It'd be really good to see another classic battle, but I'm not sure we're going to get that. I think they're just going to kind of hold station, get a good 1-2 for the team, I think, and I think it will be Hamilton coming out on top. As for the rest, Sebastian Vettel should probably have a pretty quiet Sunday, really. I think if he can hold 3rd going down into turn 1, then he should probably, just finish 3rd. Nothing too much is probably going to be happening to Sebastian Vettel. Disappointed I think he will be with 3rd. Many fans will be as well of him, because he looked really quick in FP3, was fastest of anybody. People had a lot of hope that he could take it to the Mercedes paired duo, but sadly he couldn't today. He'll have to settle for 3rd, and probably going to have to settle for 3rd in tomorrow's race. Can't see any way Ferrari can beat Mercedes tomorrow, unless, they hold them up massively, or, they get a bit of luck with the safety car. 2 Red Bulls, Danny Ricciardo and Danny Kvyat, doing a stellar job. 4th and 5th for them. That's the best qualifying of the season for the Red Bull duo. They'll be definitely pleased, and they'll just be wanting to hold that position going into tomorrow's race. I think they've got to target Sebastian Vettel as well as a potential first podium in the season beckons for either Ricciardo or Kvyat. Massive race, I think, tomorrow for Danny Kvyat. He's really got to prove himself, because he's come up quite a lot of criticism, and I think rightly so as well. He hasn't done the job many people were expecting him to do. Well, actually, having said that, no one really expected too much of him. Everyone was kind of shocked at the decision to promote him so early, so we'll have to see, can he prove us wrong, only time will tell. Kimi Raikkonen, another really disappointing day, another disappointing Saturday for him. It's really gonna, set him back for tomorrow's race yet again. He was really quick off the line, if I remember rightly, last season, so if he can do that again, there's no reason why he might even jump both of the Red Bulls, who actually, pretty slow off the line usually. So don't be surprised if we see Raikkonen jumping the Red Bulls down into turn 1, or at least some point during the race. I think we are going to see a good Ferrari and Red Bull scrap. That would be, something to watch out for. Sergio Perez, 7th in the Force India, definitely one of the drivers of the day. A really good performance from the young Mexican. Well, actually, I say young, but of course what he's in is 5th season now in Formula 1. Of course, time is going fast, but this is exactly what Perez needed. In the first 3 races, he was kind of being, outperformed by Hülkenberg, but he's doing exactly what he did last season. In these last 3 races, he's taking it to Hülkenberg, and he's beating Hülkenberg, and he just needs to hold it in the race this time. If you remember last year, he qualified in the top 10, but then, of course, had contact with Jenson Button. He really doesn't need anything like that tomorrow. Force India desperately need these points. Toro Rosso pair of Sainz and Verstappen were 8th and 10th. Good performance from Sainz to out-qualify Verstappen after all the Monaco hype was around Verstappen. But, Sainz proved that he could just get it together in qualifying, which we've actually seen quite a lot. I think Sainz is probably the better qualifier. Who's a better racer? Maybe Verstappen, we'll have to see. Tomorrow, might see the Toro Rossos, running line astern. Can they beat the Red Bull duo this race? Probably not likely, but they can certainly aim for a double point to finish. That would, definitely be considered, I think, as a team for a very good race. They're in a Lotus sandwich then. If we have Maldonado in 9th, and then we have Grosjean 11th. So we got the 2 Toro Rossos and the 2 Lotuses then occupying 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. Grosjean, of course, has a 5-place grid penalty, so he'll actually start, 16th, so actually it won't be 2 Toro Rossos and 2 Lotuses. Of course, Grosjean starting further down due to a gearbox problem, having an unscheduled change. Maldonado would have had the same penalty, but he retired in Spain, so that allowed him to change it. He starts 9th, he'll be hoping for a good result. I definitely predicted that he could definitely jump Perez, maybe even Sainz, so he should be on for his first points of the year. I'm really, really hoping he can make it, and but you never know. We said that for the first few races, and look what happened. Jenson Button then in 12th, of course he'll start 11th in tomorrow's race with high hopes of getting points. His teammate Fernando Alonso languishing down in 14th after he had a failure in Q2, not allowing him to set a competitive lap time. Really unfortunate for Fernando Alonso, but of course we had seen a fair bit of bad luck for Jenson Button as well, so it's certainly not as if one driver's getting all the luck and one of the drivers isn't. It's pretty they've both got a fair share of bad luck. But the biggest surprise of the day was the Williamses down in 14th and 17th. Their practice times were telling, as they, for the first time this season, failed to qualify for Q3. Valtteri Bottas down in 17th. He suffered from traffic issues, and the general pace of the Williams just wasn't on there today. I'm hoping, they'll have better pace in the race, but I really doubt it. Just proving their car is definitely set up for more, high-speed corners and, long straights, which, the car has always been suited to, I guess, and it's going to be a tough race, I think, for Nasr and Bottas. Points, maybe probably not even possible. I mean, we'll have to see. Of course, there's probably going to be a lot of crashes, a lot of retirements. Williams just have to keep their head tomorrow, make some good moves, just try and rely on their straight line speed, which isn't really going to help him around this track, but you never know. Maybe in Sandevort we could see, a few moves from Williams, duo of Nasr and Bottas, but yeah, going to be a tough race for them tomorrow. Also going to be a tough race for the Sauber pair, Nasr and Ericsson. I think Nasr did well to beat Bottas up in 16th. Ericsson down in 18th, 4 tenths back from Nasr. Not the best day for Ericsson. He had a pretty poor practice run as well. We're not getting the running he wanted. Nasr as well, it's pretty pointless. They're just kind of scrapping over 16th and 18th, and will probably be around 17th and 18th in tomorrow's race. They've just got to stay in the race and just hope they can get points, very valuable points if they can get them for Sauber, seeing as their car is definitely not capable of scoring points, in terms of if points are awarded at qualifying. I doubt we're going to see Sauber in Q3 for probably the rest of the season. We may see him a couple of times, but it's going to be really, really tough from here to the end of the season for Ericsson and Nasr. Their best chances have already probably been in the first few races, but this might be, also a really good chance, I think, for them to score points. Maybe Monza as well is going to be pretty good, of course, with that Ferrari power unit. But it's pretty evident that their chassis is not up to the scratch of their rivals, due to their, shoestring budget. I think they've done a pretty good job this season so far, especially in Australia. That's going to prove pivotal, I think, in their season, with a double points finish, of course, including that brilliant 5th place for Felipe Nasr. Lining up then on the back row of the grid, once again it's Will Stevens and Roberto Merhi, and once again it's Will Stevens ahead of Roberto Merhi. A great performance then from Stevens to maintain his 100% record of out-qualifying his teammate, and I'm sure we're going to see him out-racing him as well. It's been a massive disappointment. It's been a huge disappointing season for Merhi so far. I had high hopes for him to, beat Stevens. I generally thought he would, but Stevens has really taken it to him, and he has beaten him as well, consistently. Merhi's yet to beat him in a qualifying or race session, so tomorrow's going to be massive for Merhi. I think he really, really needs to try and beat Stevens. Otherwise, if I was Manor, I'd look for someone else with a lot of money, because Merhi just isn't cutting it at the moment. Anyway, that rounds out then our review of qualifying, and I guess a preview as well for tomorrow's race. Just finish off then with a quick prediction, and I think it's going to finish how they're going to line up. It's going to be Hamilton, Rosberg, Vettel, certainly for the podium. Behind that, it's going to be so close. I'm not even going to predict it because it's just, going to be too tight. We're going to have Red Bulls, Ferraris, Force Indias, Toro Rossos, the Lotuses, McLarens, maybe even the Williams, and possibly even the Saubers all in the mix. So it'll be a very entertaining one. And if it's been as dramatic as the previous years, then we should be set for another classic Monaco Grand Prix. You guys can leave your top 3 predictions down in the comment section below. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.